Hello to everyone. In our previous class, we have seen the short story, the BET by Anton Chekhov. We have also discussed the introduction of the writer Anton Chekhov, who was a brilliant Russian short story writer, and we have also discussed about the BET, the thematic concern in the short story The BET. In continuation with our earlier session, we will move to the actual short story The BET, how the author has described an important event that took place in a party. So we will begin with the short story. We will try to understand it in as far as possible in simple words, so it will be understandable to all of you. To begin, the story goes like this. A party has been given by the banker. Banker is a rich man who invests in stock exchange and different types of investments, and he was the rich man in the city, and he has given a party to his friends. It was evening time, and in the party there were many intellectual men, journalists, and there are many guests are invited by the banker. As the party began, an interesting conversations on capital punishment began. There were majority of the men who took part in the discussion, in the conversation, and they discussed about capital punishment. Capital punishment in the sense when a person does some serious crime like murder or that sort kind of crime, he is punished either the death penalty, that is, he is hanged till death, or he has been sentenced imprisonment for life. So the guests in the party were of the opinion that which is the better punishment, whether the death penalty or lifelong imprisonment. And the banker also took part in the discussion. Some of the people in the party said death penalty is now out of date, it is immoral, and it is also unsuitable for Christian state, and it has to be replaced. So there are some people who think that death penalty has to be now banned. There should not be death penalty, but there should be lifelong imprisonment, because it is more moral and it is more human, as it not take the life of some humans. So it is more human and it has to be continued, and death penalty has to be banned or it has to be stopped and replaced by the lifelong imprisonment. And there are also some group of men who said that both are immoral, because the object of the both punishment is the same, that is to kill a person, and so the both are immoral, and in a state there should not be death penalty and there should not be lifelong imprisonment. And so they are of the opinion that state is not God. State has not the right to take the life of a person if they cannot restore it. So both are the immoral, and as the object of the both punishment is the same. In the discussion, as the discussion continues, there was a young lawyer in the party, and the young lawyer put his own opinion. He says, if I was asked to choose between the death penalty and lifelong imprisonment, he said that he would choose the second one, that is the imprisonment for life, because it does not kill the man, though and a man stays alive. So he says that he will choose the second one, as it is it is better than the death penalty. The banker says, no, it's not true, because one cannot stay in imprisonment, in a solitary confinement, that is living lonely in prison. So he says that it is not true. Both are not good for our state, as one cannot stay in solitary confinement. So he was disagreed with the young lawyer and says that lifelong imprisonment is also equally not good. One cannot stay alone for 5 years. As the banker says so, the young lawyer says that I will stay for 5 years. No, not for 5 years, but for 15 years. And there was the bet. The banker was readily says that if the young lawyer can stay in solitary confinement for 5 years, he will bet 2 millions. He will give 2 millions. And if he failed, then he has to become his slave for entire life. So there was the bet between them, and the young lawyer accepts the bet, and he says that he will not stay just for 5 years, but he will stay in the solitary confinement, that is the imprisonment, self-imprisonment for 15 years. So this is the discussion takes place between the young lawyer and the banker, and they agreed that if the young lawyer stays in a solitary confinement for 15 years, the banker would give him 2 millions. During the dinner, the banker says to the young lawyer that you should take a back, because it is not possible. It is very harder to stay solitary, to stay alone without any contact with others. And he makes fun of the young man that he is going to lose his young days in a confinement just for 2 millions. But as the banker was serious in his statement and the lawyer was also seriously accepts the bet, and an agreement is made between them. Before the agreement, the banker who was walking in the garden after 15 years was thinking. He was walking in the garden and he was thinking what has happened before 15 years, how the agreement was taken and how the bet was carried out. And he was thinking and asking himself what was the object of the bet, to prove that the young lawyer was wrong or the banker was right. It was the object only, and the outcome is going to be seen after 15 years. So what was the losing of 15 years of the lawyer, and what is good in throwing away 2 millions by the banker? So he again asked the second question, what is good? He lost his 15 years and he is going to give him 2 millions after, as he is going to complete his 15 years confinement. And he was also thinking, is it proved his point that which is the better, whether the death penalty is the better or the lifelong imprisonment is better? Is it proved it? Because 15 years has been passed and the young lawyer is going to win the bet, and the banker has to give him 2 millions. But is it prove the point that the death penalty is not good and the life imprisonment is better than it? So he was thinking, and whether the object of the bet has been received. So at the end he come to the conclusion that all was nonsensical and meaningless. The bet was completely meaningless. There is nothing, any output, and no one is actually won the bet. Though he has got the 2 millions, he has lost his 15 years. Then he was young and now he has become old, and so getting 2 millions is not win for the young lawyer. And so he was thinking, after 15 years he was walking in the garden and he was thinking all this, and he was remembering what has happened that night when the bet was carried out. So as there was the bet between the lawyer and the banker, they made a detailed agreement with every little points that should not create later any confusion between their agreement. And so they had decided what to be allowed and what not to be allowed. The young lawyer has accepted the bet, and both are agreed on some conditions and on some terms, and everything was written down in a paper. So as per the agreement, it was decided that the young lawyer should not be allowed to come out the room, that he should stay in a room or in a lodge which is in the garden of the banker, and he should not come out of that room. He should stay into that room. He was not allowed to speak with other human beings. He was not allowed even to hear the voice of other human beings, and he was also not allowed to receive letters or newspapers from others. What he was allowed were the things. He was allowed musical instrument. He can demand any musical instrument and he can play into his room, but he was not allowed to come out of the room. He was allowed to read books, and he can order any number of books and any type of books, and it was decided that the banker will provide, he will fulfill all the demands made by the lawyer. So he can order books, he can write letters, he can drink wine and smoke. So these are things are allowed to him, and it is the duty of the banker that he will provide all these things to the lawyer in his room. And how it was also decided that in the room there is only a medium of the communication is a small window, as it is seen in the picture. The window, through the window he can write his order and he will get whatever he has ordered through that small window. He was not allowed to come out of the room. He has to stay in the room, and whatever he wants, he can write it on the paper and then put it in the window, and through window what he had ordered into that paper will be received. So it was exactly 15 years that he has to follow this agreement. The agreement was written at 12 o'clock on November 14, 1870, and it will end on the same time, that is 12 o'clock of November 14, 1885. So all the things has been cleared and everything was decided how he has to spend his 15 years and what is allowed to the young lawyer and what is not allowed to the young lawyer, and everything was made into an agreement by writing down, and the bet was carried out. The rest of the story will continue in our next virtual class. Thank you.